Good morning. All right, take this guy real quick. Just cover that up right a bit. Looking at that space. There we go. Some tape there. Alright, let's get this in. Where's the tape at? There it is. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Happy Saturday. We've got good plans out there. Hopefully something artful. All right. Just tap my tape like I normally would anyway, because that's helpful. Apparently people got really excited about the covered up painting reveal the other day. Ouch! There we go. I'm gonna get this paintbrush out. It's giving me some trouble. Alright, let's get rolling on this guy, huh? Excuse me. Oof. Put a rabbit head right here. Ears coming up over there. The rabbit head will fit pretty good in here, I think. Goes there. Goes there. Ear there. Other ear there. Another ear coming up over there. And then we can send some of his fluffiness over. Overlaps there. And kind of fluff its way down over here. Fill up that space. Something like that. Good morning. Just working on a little sketchbook page here. I'll fill out some of this empty space in here. It should just take today. I'm going to go ahead and maybe center on that a little bit more. Get some opacity on there. So top of the head's a little more there. Obviously, right? If the universe is deterministic, then what you did was what you were supposed to do. Right? And I was sifting through my Pinterest stuff today, looking for something to paint. I was kind of bumping into that too, where it's like you kind of linger on something just a little bit, and it opens up the window. It's like, I don't know, I paused briefly, but machines want what the machines want, right? That's what we're being told. Something like that. So just kind of getting the drawing set up here. I need some opacity on this stuff too. I'm looking at photo reference, right? And so I just know that there's light sides and dark sides, and I'm looking at my reference source here. So, that's kind of helping me out, right? Just a study thing I do in the morning where I like to sketch, usually from reference of some kind. So, where are you graduating from in a few weeks? Like, is it like an early graduation, or is it like a middle of the year? It sounds like a SCAD schedule, actually, if I think about it. If I think about it, right, sometime in March. Yeah, so I'm not doing anything. I'm not making up anything. This is all from reference. I used to work for SCAD once upon a time at their Hong Kong campus. I was a professor there. It's one of the worst employers I've ever had in my entire life. It's run by miserable people. Yeah, I taught the Hong Kong campus 2013 to 2016. What are you majoring in? You're a Sega student? Is that the Sika? I'm kind of friends with the former head of Sika in Atlanta, Sean. I always forget his last name. Sean. We're internet friends, so not that close. Sean Crystal. Yeah, our main Sika professor at SCAD in Hong Kong. When I was originally there, she quit because they kept going after her. They wouldn't tell her how much time she had to spend on her stuff. Yeah, I was personally fired by Paula. She's a real piece of work. But I was happy to go. I was actually really miserable there. But I was living in Hong Kong. It's like, well, how often do I get to do that? So I was willing to put up with it. Even with other offers from other universities back in the United States. But yeah. Well, yeah. Sean hasn't been there in a long time. He quit, I think, a long, long time ago. He was there for 14 years. His assessment is the same as mine. He's talked about it publicly, but yeah, I only stayed as long as I did just because I was where it was. Obviously, it's not there anymore, right? They shut it down in 2020. Keep that there. I think we're making the body too long. There we go. That should be there. Again, that was a long time ago. He used to be in charge. Yeah, our Sika professor we had when I was first at well, actually, about a year after I got there, she got hired when I interviewed her. But she's like a big, tall woman, and she needed like special shoes, otherwise it hurts her hips and joints. And SCAD people would always complain to her about her shoes because they have a certain dress policy right at SCAD for the professors, dress code for the professors, and Um, and so they'd write her up on it because they weren't the proper shoes. They were a kind of sneaker, and she needed them. Well, the professor's usually nice. Like, I didn't bring my school problems into the classroom at all. You know, I would never do that. Um, but like, the professors don't know if they have a job the next year until they get a contract. Um, and usually in March, which is an awkward time to kind of get a contract because usually if you're going to be applying for teaching spots, like most of those things go out at the beginning of the year, not at the end. Um, so this needs to go up here. Better, I want to make that a little larger. Um, oh, you live in Texas, oh, okay. Yeah, it was just a really miserable experience working there. Um, but yeah, I was in Hong Kong. You know, how often do you get to do that? So I passed up jobs at a couple of universities. Um, One was willing to wait a year for an answer from me, and when they kind of got together with me, I was like, ah. And then as soon as I turned them down, things got much worse because they were losing a lot of money there. Like I think they spent, I think they lost like showed a loss of like $40 million for the 10 years that they were in Hong Kong. They were trying to get the campus so it was like 100% full all the time. So they needed like I think 1,600 students or 1,400 students at that campus for them to fill the building. And I don't think they ever got above like 700, maybe 800 for a little bit. When I was there, I don't think it ever got above 700. It was like the high 600s or something like that. Because I think they didn't really understand that a lot of students internationally they want to come to the United States. Like that's why they're joining up with an American university. So a lot of them, as soon as they could, would transfer to the American campus, which makes kind of sense. Um, there's more professors, there's more equipment, there's more access to stuff over there. So, um, well, I'm glad you're having a good experience. Like most of the time, professors they don't bring the campus negativity from the owner into the classroom, right? It's usually not a great idea. I didn't for sure, but um, maybe subconsciously, but I didn't. I didn't talk about the things that were happening behind the scenes. Maybe I should have, but I don't know. I really like my students. I had really great students. I like the teaching part. It's a lot of teaching. I don't like the quarter system, which is why I guess you were there because of the graduation timing. But I did really like my students. So yeah, our other Sika professor that took over after, he was a local guy. SCAD tried to bring him to the United States when they were shutting down the campus, but he didn't want to leave Hong Kong. Chi Kit Wong, you can look him up, but he's a manga, or a manhwa for the, this is Cantonese. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how the online professors are. You know, they may not follow up on them as much. I don't know how that works. I never taught online for them. I was always in person on campus. But yeah, the other professor, yeah, you should look him up. Chi Kid Wong. He's on Instagram and all the other places, posting his comic stuff. They tried to get him to come back in the States. He's like, no, I want to stay here. He was very concerned, of course, about the situation there in Hong Kong. He studied in the United States too, so he has a master's degree and things from here. Um, but yeah, SCAD. Yeah, they're actually under academic censure. There's a body that kind of reviews universities for how they relate to academic freedom, and they've been under this censure for like 20 odd years. They had an opportunity to have it taken off, and then they refused it in a last minute decision. The people that checked it, they wanted to interview professors privately, without any SCAD representation there. And they initially agreed, and then they backed off of it. You can read about it. There's a website, there's a page for that organization, and they have a whole thing to talk about. I didn't know about that when I joined up. I had a friend who really liked going to SCAD, and I had a friend who he was already kind of working professionally as a 3D modeler at freelancing while he was a student. But um, but he wasn't that impressed because he thought it was too easy. Um, yeah, but it's a thing. A lot of the probably SCAD professors probably aren't even aware of it now because they tend to go through a lot of professors pretty quickly. But it stemmed from a time period back, I think in the late '90s, early 2000s, something like that, when there was a bunch of controversies that happened. The school was hiding um, some crimes that were happening to some of the young lady students, and there was also an attempt by I think SVA to open a campus in Savannah to kind of compete directly with um, SCAD. And then there was a bomb threat. It was like all within like the same couple of years. There's a whole bunch of crazy stuff. So um, it doesn't affect the accreditation of the school, but it's this kind of big black mark on the school. So like I didn't know about that when I was first started teaching for them. I just knew it was a big school. I was going to be sent out to Hong Kong, which I thought was really cool. And then I'd never been to Asia before at that point. So I was excited about that. Yeah, but they made a lot of mistakes when they were there. They would like hire people that were politically or uh, socially connected or whatever, and then because the way SCAD works, they'd fire those people too. Not seeing how the Asian kind of connections work, they're just like, oh, we don't like this person, blah blah blah, so fired. And then it would like they burned all these bridges while they were there, because the way SCAD operates, and kind of became pretty insular pretty quick. But it was just kind of funny. But yeah, SCAD. quite the experience. Yeah, yeah. It's not like it's not like you have a fake degree or anything. Um, um, but a lot of universities have problems. It's not just SCAD, but they're just a special kind because they like to put a lot of pressure on the professors in a way that's very unusual. And so it's not like I'm at a big university right now. I know there's a lot of concerns about how the president here runs it and how he gets paid and how and why certain things happen. But it doesn't really affect like the academic structure of the school. But you can also find an article I'm quoted in talking about my SCAD experience in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I think it's behind a paywall now because it's from a long time ago. It's called "How SCAD Sells a Dream," and I'm one of two professors that put our name in the article, which I was worried was a mistake at the time. When it came out, I was like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that," but it hasn't ever really mattered. So, um, like even just like I thought where it might affect other teaching positions, if they looked it up. 2 years old, waking up. Yeah. Anyway, it's worth looking at just so you're aware of kind of what's going on. Um, but I'm glad you had a good experience, right? There's a lot of really good people teaching there, I'm sure, and um, that's the main thing for students is you have really good teachers. That's always the big question is how good your teachers are, and important that they have those. So that's always the big thing for students. Who you get to work with. And the campus has really good facilities too, from what I remember. So if you're on campus, like there's all kinds of labs to take advantage of. Very much. think. Good morning, happy Saturday. To seal the edges of the tape. I forgot to do that. Oh. Yeah, well, it's not so much adding backgrounds. I'm filling the space. So if you look at like past drawings I've done, I like to fill the whole space. So I'll usually do like 3 things in the foreground. That's what I've been doing anyway. You know, usually people or something, and then I go through and just fill up the backgrounds, or the in between spaces. Really, they kind of end up being backgrounds, but that's really what I'm doing here. I'm just, because part of this I'm just using this as a study thing. So like I'm looking at materials or lighting or whatever, you know, I happen to be curious about. And so so it's not so much adding backgrounds, it's just filling up the space. Um, so that's what's going on here. So yeah, that's what we got going on today. if that makes sense. I guess that's all crooked over there. This is the tape here. Let's see. Hopefully that wrap looks okay. It's one of the words my dog knows. Bring up that subject, and he's like, huh? Oh, those were by, huh? Right? All right. So here comes up this way. All right, over there. All right, good. Let's see here, okay. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are we doing for time? 45 minutes? Alright, we're doing good. Pick something a little simpler to work on. Just rapid thing over here. Hello over there on Kick. Happy Saturday to you. Hello over there, Gabar. Let's see. Good morning. Oh, appreciate that. Welcome. Certainly welcome to come hang out. This is my morning study. So every morning I like to get up and spend about an hour studying something. So right now I'm playing around a lot with acrylic. It's a medium I've kind of neglected for a long time. I didn't like it as a student, and I sort of avoided it ever since. And now I'm like, well, maybe it's not so bad. So that's what I like to do first thing in the morning before I get into my actual main projects. So. Good morning. Hmm. Right. Good morning. Appreciate that. Oh, about an hour, okay. I'll touch this up just a little bit. Eyes. And I think we'll be done. Study phase of my day. Cleaned up and on to the next things. That's about this rabbit is a limited palette. It's brown and gray fur. So that's always helpful. Sounds good. Little Michael Kiwanuka. I think that's how you say his name correctly. Good morning. Just touching this little study up here a little bit, and I'll call it a morning study. And a couple things to do this morning, and then got some pages ready to start penciling. All right. So I'm going to call it there for the morning. Thanks to everybody that popped in, said hello, and we'll talk to you all later.